Hello and welcome to this video series on getting prepared for lipedema surgery. My name is Lisa Higgins and I'm a lymphatic and craniosacral therapist and a medical intuitive. I want to talk to you today about the importance of getting prepared for your surgery, why it's important, what you need to do, and all the steps you need to take or that you could take. We're going to talk about compression, pumping, clean eating, exercise, dry brushing, and visualization. Because being a medical intuitive, I believe we're more than just our physical body. So while all of the physical preparation is very important, it's also important to prepare mentally and emotionally for the surgery that's coming up. And by doing all of these preparation things, you're going to get the best result from your surgery. You're going to be able to soften the tissue in the legs or the arms, depending on what you're having removed. And by doing all of this work consistently for at least 6 weeks before your surgery, preferably even longer, what you're going to do is you're going to make the job much easier for your surgeon to remove the diseased fat. So come along with me. I'm going to have short bursts of videos covering each of the topics so that it's not too overwhelming. And feel free at the end, you can send me a message or book in for an appointment with me. There are lots of different ways that you can work with me. You can work online and we can just do an initial consultation and come up with a treatment plan of things that you need to do to get prepared. Or you can go the whole way down and do the medical intuition package that I've created for lipedema, which is a 6 weeks program looking at the emotional, mental, spiritual aspect of what's going on in your body, as well as looking at nutrition and all the other things on the physical aspect that we would cover in a face-to-face appointment. You can find all of that information on my website, www.lisahiggins.com.au. In this section, we're going to talk about compression and why it's important to step up your compression from whatever you've been using before. Quite often when you're just starting out on your lipedema process, you may use some lymph stimulating stockings. And I'm going to be showing you things along the way, so bear with me. So one of my favorites is the BioFlect stockings. They're nice and ribbed inside, and these ribbings give you some really good lymphatic drainage, opening up those vessels, collecting the fluid, and helping you move that fluid through. Now, these are quite low compression and fairly easy to get on and off as compression goes. So it's a good place to start, but it is not enough when you are preparing for surgery or post-surgically. There's also the CZ Salus. I think that's how you pronounce it. That's my take on it anyway, which is a bit like the BioFlex in that they're quite accessible and fairly easy to get on. And these come in graded compression. So class 1, class 2, class 3, and I believe they've got a summer and a normal weight. So for the Australian weather in particular, it's good to have options. Both of these options come down to sort of mid-foot. So they're not a fitted foot like you would get in your medically graded custom fit compression. So what I'd suggest in the run up to your surgery is getting into your class 2 compression. Now, some surgeons prefer that you wear class 2 custom made flat knit compression, and that is definitely the gold standard and what you should be aiming for. Unfortunately, getting custom made compression to fit properly is tricky, and it may take a few attempts, and you need a really good fitter. And I recommend that people go and see somebody whose only job is measuring you for compression, because it is really tricky. I've been trained a couple of times and I'm not game to do custom made. I'll do off the shelf, that's fine. That's nowhere near as scary. The other thing with custom made is it can be exorbitantly expensive. And you're going to be in these compressions for, you know, the 6 weeks before surgery, maybe 6 weeks after, and then you're going to need to get new compression after that because your shape will have changed. So my suggestion is to go with off the shelf class 2 round knit compression. And what most of my clients are using is the chaps, which kind of look a bit dreadful. They're a bit like the cowboys in the Wild West. So what you have is a strap that comes around here so that the top of your hip has a bit of compression, and then it comes to the top of your thigh, but it's not digging in with the elastic, which can be really uncomfortable. It means you're also getting compression as high up the leg as you possibly can. So obviously you'd be wearing 2 of these, one on either side. And what I've also found people complain about is that their pubis may get a little bit swollen, or the tops of their thighs don't feel as compressed as they'd like. So I suggest layering, perhaps getting a pair of bike shorts from Target or Kmart or somewhere like that. It doesn't need to be high compression, just something that's a little bit compressive, and putting that over these stockings. And that also makes it much easier than full length stockings up to here when you're going to the toilet, particularly post surgery when you're feeling very fragile. You want to be able to get to the toilet easily. Now, another thing that we can add pre and post surgery is nighttime compression. Now, you don't have to do this, but if you're throwing everything at getting the best result out of your surgery, then I'd suggest some nighttime compression is a good idea. And if you like, you could go back and use the BioFlex as a nighttime compression. That is fine. You can sleep in these without any problem. And that's an effective thing to do, especially if you already have some, so that you're wearing your class 2 during the day and the BioFlex during the night. There are 2 other options that I recommend. One is the Comfy Wave. Now, this is just the one to the knee. They do have one that comes all the way up the thigh, but that's just not going to fit on the screen. So the beautiful thing about the Comfy Wave is it's soft and it's really easy to get on and off, and it's comfortable. And I think it's over 90% cotton. So even though it's quite thick and it looks a bit like an Argyle jumper, it is cotton. So it's very breathable, and it's got the fitted foot with the working ankle and the top of the foot here as well. So this is a really good option for nighttime compression. And what this is going to do is, while you're sleeping, these grooves are actually going to be working on the fibrosis that builds up in those cells around each of the individual cells, that fibrotic matrix. This can start to break it down. And if we break that down, then the surgeon's job is going to be easier. He's going to be able to extract that fat out, and it's more like butter rather than having to really struggle to remove it. Now, another option, and it depends on your mobility, your hands, and personal preference, is the Mobiderm, the AutoFit garment. Now, this is a really accessible garment as well, because it's got Velcro. So it's simple to get on, simple to get off, and it looks horrific. It's actually really lightweight and fairly cool at night. So wearing it is comfortable again, and it has, on the bottom, it's got non-slip little things here, so that if you get up in the middle of the night to go to the toilet and you need to walk, you're not going to go slipping anywhere. So again, what the idea is, this will break down. It's got the Mobiderm on the inside here, which stimulates the lymphatics and also breaks down those fibrotic areas that are building up. So again, what you'll be doing is wearing your round knit class 2 during the day and one of these special nighttime compressions so that you're compressing for 24 hours. It is not compulsory to do that, but it's going to give you a really good result. The more you throw at this condition, the better the results you're going to get from your surgery, and the easier the job will be for your surgeon. This next section is about pumps. Why would you use a pump? Well, it's the closest thing that you're going to get to hands-on treatment from a therapist. Obviously, it's not the same, but as an adjunct treatment, it is an excellent thing to be doing every single day. And that's the really wonderful thing about the pumps. You can use them every single day and get treatment at home in the comfort of your own chair or bed while you're watching TV. You're not having to go anywhere. It's very accessible. There are 2 different pumps that I recommend here in Australia, and worldwide there may be different ones. Firstly, there's the Lymphopress, which is an excellent model, and they've got a couple of different options. They've got just the legs, which are suitable for somebody who's had major abdominal issues or just who can't cope with any pressure on their abdomen. And then they've got the pants, which come all the way up to underneath the chest here. And that's great for anybody who has no medical complications and who can cope with pressure on their abdomen. It is a very efficient machine. The reason why I don't recommend it as much as I do the other option is that you've got to buy it up front, unless you can find a therapist who has bought a few of them and you can rent it from them. And there are a few therapists around who do that. But generally speaking, you've got to buy it up front, and you run the risk that if it doesn't work for you or you find it uncomfortable, that you're stuck with an expensive machine that you don't use. There's a good resale value on it, so I'm sure if that's the case, you can move it on. But it's just nice to have the option that you get with the MediRent company, who have their own version that you can rent for 3 months at a time. And then you can either continue to rent it, purchase it, and they take that 3 months initial rental off the purchase price, or you can go into a higher contract. Or if you don't like it, you can just send it back. So for somebody who's having surgery and doesn't necessarily want to continue with the pump for forever, though I sort of think, why would you not? It's a great form of treatment. You can just rent that pump and then send it back once you're done, once you've finished all of your rehabilitation and you are done with all of your treatment. So again, MediRent has the LX9 and they've got the biocompression pump as well. So 2 different pumps. The LX9 just has legs, and the biocompression has legs, and it's also got the pants. So you've got a few options there. And how these, I've got a little sample of a leg here, and this is a short one just as a sample. So this is where you put your foot, and that's the garment there. And just the legs has 4 different compartments, and what happens is each compartment blows up sequentially. So you can see the little lines here. You can target so that if you've got more swelling in your feet, you can target and get 4 pumps at the feet and then coming up, or it can be done in a wave or just in its normal. It also has a pre and treatment phase. So the pre phase starts up here at the top of the leg, which is where your deep lymphatics, your lymph nodes are. So it'll start up here and work its way down. And then the treatment will start from the feet and work its way up. So it's mimicking what a therapist does in treatment. And I've got a sample. This is the actual pump itself. So it's not terribly large. You can actually fit the whole thing in one of those little small wheelie suitcases that you take onto an airplane, and just store it in there and slide it under something when it's not being used, so it's not in the way, and just pull it out. Both of these pumps are exceptionally relaxing and very, very effective. And to make things even better, what you can do is you can put your daytime compression, so say your Bioflex or your CZ Salus that have a ribbed texture, you put those on because those are lymph stimulating, and you put the pump on top of it, and then it's actually enhancing the session that you're having. Or you can put the nighttime compression on underneath the pump. So there are lots of different ways to make it work for you, to make it more comfortable. You can adjust the pressure settings. I would always start with a more gentle pressure, either 30 or 40 milligrams of mercury, and work your way up. There's no rush to do that. The nice thing about the pump is that post-surgery, it's sometimes just the thought of taking your stockings off to have hands-on treatment is one step too far. So you can leave your stockings on and get yourself into the pump and have some treatment straight away on the lowest setting. It's very, very effective, easy to apply, and it gives you control, and you get treatment every day. The recommended time for lipedema and lymphedema is 1 hour. So you can do that at night while you're watching TV or reading. It's just a really good space for you to get some you time to work on getting your legs into the best state before your surgery. This section is all about clean eating. Now, let me say here that I cannot tell you how to eat because I'm not a nutritionist and I don't know your personal history. So I would advise that you find someone, a nutritionist, who understands lipedema and have a really detailed discussion with them about what is going to suit your body best. But the general principle is that you're going to be eating an anti-inflammatory diet. So that just means keeping things simple, preparing your food yourself, avoiding packaged foods, jars, packages, powders, colors, preservatives. Anything that's been coming out of a packet is going to have some level of inflammation for your body. So real food, good protein, good fresh vegetables, some fruit, nuts, olive oil, good garlic. And obviously all of this depends on your own allergies because you're not going to be eating nuts if you're allergic to them. So be sensible, good, pure food, minimally processed, and preferably prepared at home so that you know exactly what's going into it. Eat the rainbow, eat unprocessed, and drink as much water as you possibly can. So water or herbal teas, trying to cut down on the coffee and the black tea. Both of these can be inflammatory. Cutting down on the sugar and alcohol as well. So just clean eating in whatever way it works for you. Good luck with that. There's lots to research to find out what works best for you there. Exercise. So here again, this is a very individual choice. It may be that there's not a lot that you can do because your mobility is very affected, or you may be able to move quite well, but don't know where to start. So for me, one of the best exercises for everyone, regardless of your ability to move, is getting into the water. So getting into a pool, whether it's a therapy pool, the backyard pool, an ocean pool, any body of water that you can get into, and just if all you can do is stand in the water, then do that. If you can walk around, walk around. If you can do some exercises, like a bit of aqua aerobics, great. The benefit of being in water is that it gives a level of compression. So all of the compression stockings that it's recommended you wear, they use a measurement called milligrams of mercury, which is actually water pressure. So the nice thing about standing in the water, as opposed to swimming, and if you like swimming, then swim, but when you're standing in the water, and this is your feet down here, water pressure is more down at your feet, and it gets less as it comes up your body. And that is how compression garments work. They're tighter down at the feet and get less tight as you go up. So it's pushing fluid upwards and stopping it from collecting down at the feet as much as it does without compression on. So that's why walking in the water or just treading water, getting into the deepest water you can and treading water, or just doing some sort of, scissoring of the legs or knees up in the water, supported, holding on to the side. Any of those exercises are going to be wonderful for your lipedema. Also because it's gentle on your joints and you are supported. The only problem you may find is that lipedema legs tend to float. So for some people, they may need to just add a few weights onto the ankles to keep them anchored on the ground. And if you've got lipedema, you'll understand that. So if you can get into the water, that's one of the best places for you to be. Now, also keep in mind, warm water is fine. So a therapy pool is great, but you don't want to be in really hot water, as heat isn't fabulous for most people with lipedema. Now, if there's no water bodies close to you, then just walking on land is great. Whatever you can do, if it's riding or getting on a treadmill or Zumba, or whatever exercise you can do is going to be beneficial to you. Yoga, fabulous exercise. It's gentle on the joints and it can be adapted depending on your mobility, and it's using lots of deep breathing, because deep breathing is one of the best things you can do for your lymphatic system. So any exercise that is involving breath, yoga, tai chi, Pilates, any of those exercises are going to be wonderful for your body generally, but also in the lead up to your surgery. Dry brushing. The number of people I say, do you have one of those natural fiber dry brushes? And they go, yes. And then the next question is, do you use it? No. So it's something that we have great intentions about. And I'll put my hand up. I'm not regular with it either. I'm as bad as everybody else. There are ways to do your dry brushing. And what I'm going to do, rather than going through the whole process here, as an added bonus, I will attach a dry brushing video that I've made before so that you can follow along with that. What I will show you now is the type of brush that I mean. So here I've got a little brush like you get in the supermarket or the chemist. They're pretty cheap. The nice thing about it is the bristles are very flexible. So it's quite a soft brush. That's what you want to be going for. Now, I'm pointing that out because here I've got a really quite an expensive brush that's vegan and beautiful. And look at the density between the two. So to me, this is a bit more like a scrubbing brush. And when you move your hands on it, it's really rigid. So on delicate lipedema skin, I find this is way too abrasive and uncomfortable. So what you're wanting is something that's nice and soft and pliable. There's a massive difference between the two. So that's what I suggest. So there's a whole sequence, and the idea behind it, people talk about sending it to your heart. Your lymphatic system does eventually go through your heart, but when you're doing your arms, actually you're sending it to the collection nodes in your armpits. It then comes up into your neck, and from here it goes through your heart. So you're always aiming for your lymph nodes. And before you do any brushing, you must open the main collections of lymph nodes and do some abdominal breathing, one of the best things for your lymphatic system. But I talk about all of that in the video that I'm going to send along with this one, so you can follow along with that. It's pretty simple, and I've got words for it as well as the video. Visualization. What's that? Have you ever done a visualization? I'm sure you have, even if you're not aware that you have, where, you know, you've got an event coming up and you're planning it in your head and what you're going to wear and you're going to feel great. And, you know, we do this all the time, but there are ways that we can do it in a structured format. And I use that term loosely because when we're doing visualization, none of it's structured. It's important to have an end goal. And this is bringing in sort of the emotional, mental, spiritual aspect of our bodies, because those aren't separate to the physical. So we could do something that's really basic, like, you know, I want to have great legs, which when you're doing an affirmation, you need to be really careful, because what you say is what the universe gives you. So you want to have beautiful legs. When do you want that? How do you want them to look? You need to be a bit more specific. So have a feel into the difference between I want to have nice legs or beautiful legs, as opposed to, oh, wow, I am wearing a short skirt and showing off my beautiful legs. And I'm wearing those boots that I've been desperate to wear for years that I've never been able to fit into. And I feel amazing. Can you feel the difference between those two? So what you're doing, and in fact, you could even be more specific. You can, you know, you can say, oh, I'm at my cousin's wedding on 26th February, and I have that dress on and those high heels. I've not been able to wear high heels for forever, and I feel fabulous. So you're being specific on how you want to feel and when you want to feel that by, and you know, what you're actually doing that's making you feel amazing. It can be something much smaller than that, you know. It's like, I feel great. I've gone for a 3-kilometer walk and I have no pain. So it doesn't need to be about appearance. It can be about function. But what we're doing is we're creating an excitement for something for your body to aspire to, because our bodies can't actually tell the difference between reality and thought. So by us going into that creation around the thought of feeling great and not having pain and able to walk and all of that sort of stuff, our bodies just think, oh, well, this is the way it is. Great. So we create this ease that we aspire to. This may sound very different for you. I can help you with an affirmation. I can help you with a visualization if it's not something that you've done before. Just get in touch with me. You can go onto my website, www.lisahiggins.com.au, and get in touch with me, and I will help you do that. I hope you found these videos instructional, helpful, and not overwhelming. This condition can be. Take your time, choose one thing at a time to add. And if you're getting pretty close to your surgery, then hopefully your surgeon will have given you a list of things that he or she expects you to be doing or hopes that you'll be doing before the surgery, what you'll expect from the surgery itself and from recovery. The only thing I would suggest to add to all of this is that you also need to book in some regular manual lymphatic drainage sessions, at least once a week before surgery, and then, depending on how you feel, once or twice a week post-surgery. I tend to see people between 1 and 2 weeks post-surgery. It just depends on when you feel you can get your garments off and you can tolerate touch onto your skin. If you have any questions, and please just go to my website, www.lisahiggins.com.au, and you can contact me through there or on Facebook or Instagram, and I will try and help you as best I can. There are lots of different ways that you can work with me. We can work online, just in an advisory way. You can come in for hands-on sessions. We can do a whole medical intuition process over 6 weeks, looking at the emotional, mental, spiritual aspects, as well as the physical of lipedema. And you can download a number of my videos to help you in the process. I hope to see you again soon and chat with you soon.